Did you click on this video because you're an Enneagram 9 and you're like, oh yeah, I want to know what I struggle with? Part of the reason I wanted to do this video is so that you feel not alone. And sometimes when we highlight and understand what we struggle with, it helps us to push through those struggles. For those new here, hi, I'm Hillary. I'm your Enneagram Life Coach, and I love to teach you guys the Enneagram in the simplest way possible. Okay, time to dive in. Struggle number 1. The struggle, making decisions. 9s struggle with making decisions. Where to go to dinner? What's for dinner? Those are the 2 worst questions I can hear, and I feel like I hear them every single day. And I don't know about you, but for me, they make me cringe. I'm like, no, not that question again. Or anything food related, really. All of those questions, I'm always like, I don't know. Where do you want to go for dinner? But I will say, and my husband can attest to this, I usually know where I don't want to go more than I know where I want to go. But anyways, getting back to struggling to make decisions. What's the why for the 9? And I think it actually is a very similar why of the 1. And that would be like maybe afraid to make mistakes, afraid to be wrong, or afraid to cause conflict, or truthfully, the 9 may just not actually know what they want or what their decision would be. So that struggle to make decisions can be based on how much the 9 really knows themselves and knows what their actual wants are. So my advice to you, learn a little bit more about yourself. Ask yourself, what do I like? Ask yourself, or have a top 3 of places like to fall back on for dinner questions. That's what I've had to do. And so I definitely know the places I don't want to go. So if you ever ask me, where do you go for dinner? You're usually going to hear the answer. I don't want mod pizza. I don't know if you know what that is, but I'm not a big fan. I don't want Thai food. I'm not a fan of that food. I mean, I just know the types of food that I really don't like, but to know what I do like, I've had to dig deep and learn. And so that's my advice to you, dig deep and learn, and maybe just have a fallback plan on a few of those questions. Struggle number 2, procrastinating. I'm so bad at this. I am a big procrastinator. I put everything off until the last minute. Can you relate? I've wondered in the past why I do this. I really think I understand it now. I think it's because the 9, and probably other types too, procrastinate because they are afraid they can't do it perfect. They're afraid, or they have this fear of it feels overwhelming, or they can't do it right, or they can't do it perfect. And so they're like, I'm gonna put it off until the last minute, subconsciously more than likely. But here's the deal. When you put it off until the last minute, you still have to do it. I don't know if you're like this, but for me personally, I usually do my best work at the last minute. I mean, maybe procrastinating is not that bad, but the one thing that it does affect in my life as a 9 is when I do have to cram in doing something. Like, for instance, a few weeks ago, I flew to Oklahoma to teach this staff the Enneagram, and I needed to get everything ready. And of course I waited till the last minute and I got it all done, but I probably worked for who even knows, days and days to get it all done. And by the time I was done, I had a terrible headache, my back hurt, I was exhausted, and now I have to go and be on and present this stuff. And so procrastinating doesn't always work out for me. I will say it was my best work though. So take that for whatever it's worth. I think ultimately we put things off until the end because it feels hard, impossible, overwhelming. Those are reasons why we might procrastinate. And so my advice to myself and to the 9s and to whoever else is watching this that might not be a 9 but still can relate to this is trust yourself that you can do it before you have to. Trust yourself that you can get it done. Look at the past. You've always gotten it done. It's always been good. And so sometimes I use that to motivate myself to just sit down and do it way before it needs to get done. I don't know. Do you guys have any advice for the people out there that might procrastinate? Have you found anything that works for you? Let us know. Struggle number 3, going along to keep the peace. Guilty. Yes, I go along to keep the peace also. It is a struggle of the 9. I think some of it is, the core desire of the 9 is peace. And so they'll actually settle for false peace if they can't find real peace, and they'll just go along to get along. Sometimes they don't know themselves enough to go actually I have an opinion, or some of this is conflict avoidance. They don't want conflict, and so they're like, yeah, sure, no problem, let's do that, because they don't want to start a fight. They don't want to start conflict between that relationship, because why? They're afraid to lose that relationship more than likely. And so sometimes that is why the 9 can go along to get along. I would say there are definitely healthy times that I go along to get along because literally I just don't care. That's okay. But it's when you do have an opinion or it's something you really don't want to do and you do it anyways to keep the peace, but you're settling for probably false peace within yourself. That's the key. Don't settle. If it's like nothing that's going to bother you really, then that's fine. But if it is something that internally is bothering you, but you're doing it anyways, that's when I would say, okay, we got to unpack that a little bit. Struggle number 4. This one's a big one. I have noticed myself doing this a lot in my lifetime, but I will say it is not going first. And let me unpack that for you. It is not going first in maybe a conversation, or if a question's asked, or if your opinion is needed, or somebody is going, okay, what do we all think about this? A lot of times the 9 no way is going to go first. They're not going to put their opinion out there because it could be rejected, it could be walked over, it could be not the right one. And so a lot of times they'll hang back and they won't go first because they're kind of taking the temperature of whatever is needed, and then they're going to merge into that and probably give the opinion or whatever is needed that goes along with it. Does that make sense? I think so. But anyways, I would just say as a 9, work on going first. You don't always have to go first, but sometimes it's important for us to step in and go, you know what, I have an opinion and it's okay if everyone doesn't agree with it. Go first. Honor yourself. That's what I'm saying. Gotta honor yourself in these moments, honor your voice, honor your opinion. Otherwise, frustration can build up and it can get wonky from there. So that is the 4th struggle of the 9, in my opinion, which is not always going first. So I would just say, go first sometimes. 5th and final struggle that I'm gonna go over today is minimizing problems. A lot of times that 9 is gonna minimize that. If they have any issues, if they have any problems, they're just gonna minimize it so they keep the peace, right? If they don't say anything, if it's not a big deal, then the peace can be kept. But unfortunately, you know, you can only minimize so much, right? There are some times that we're gonna have to say what's really going on and not minimize our own self, our own person. A lot of times the 9 is like, minimize this way too. And we don't want that for the 9. I work on this too, guys. You're not alone. Sometimes I minimize my own issues also, but it's just important to honor ourselves. Like I've said, a lot of this has to do with honoring who we are. And I would say sometimes when we do minimize those problems, we're like reframing them so that we feel better or the person feels better. But I would just, you know, advise you not to minimize you. You're worth everything, and you showing up and you having real issues is allowed also. So this is something I will work on with you, but yeah, just not minimizing our problems so that other people feel better, right? That's probably what it's linked to. So anyways, that's my 5th and final struggle for the type 9. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's fast, it's fun. It's 5 struggles of the 9 so that you can understand yourself and the people in your life better. Take it with you, write it down. And if you want to learn more about yourself, if you are a 9, I have so many different videos. I'll link a couple of those down below so that you can watch more on it. And self-awareness is key to growth and to understanding and grace for yourself and the people in your life. So anyways, thanks so much for watching this, guys. Until next time, bye.